Bonjour, Toby Baisley here from French Speak, and I'm going to take you through some easy beginner mistakes and explain them. Alors, I've got a nice little list ready for you. Par exemple, when you try to express, she is cold. She is cold. Have a little think before I share my next screen. Attention, we don't say elle est froid, but we do say elle a froid. To feel cold, in that sense of being cold, feeling cold, we use the verb avoir, which is to have, rather than to be, which would be she is. So be careful not to translate that one literally. We always use the expression of having and that sensation. And it works both for froid, cold, and chaud, hot. I love music. How do you say I love music? Attention, we don't say j'aime musique. J'aime musique does not make sense in French. We always add a definite article. Definite articles are, therefore, le, followed by masculine, la for feminine singular, l'apostrophe if it's either masculin, féminin, but the word after starts with a vowel or the letter H. And the fourth one is les, L-E-S, pronounced les, like the start of the word leg, les, no S pronounced. And that's the one that you put, whether it's masculine, feminine, or starts with a vowel or the letter H, as long as the noun is plural. Le, la, l'apostrophe, les. Always include one of those four after the word j'aime and before a noun. I love chocolate. I love the chocolate in French. I love France. I love the France. It's always going to feel a little bit awkward, but that is one of the most common mistakes I see. J'aime la musique. I am thirsty. Have a go with I am thirsty. Here we need to, just like we did with froid earlier, is to skip the literal translation that we do in English, I am, je suis. And instead, notice that we're talking about thirst. Both thirst and hunger will be the same. If you're expressing the feeling of being thirsty or being hungry, think of it as having in French. J'ai, nous avons. Vous avez, ils ont, tu as, etc. You have to use avoir every time. J'ai soif. I am thirsty. Something like you live in the city. Of course, you could just do I live in the city, anything at all. But try to translate new. You live in the city for this one. This is another common mistake I see. Students will usually say tu habites dans la ville. And whenever we talk about in the city in French, we use this preposition. It's a bit shorter, en, and it's only one for your two words in the. So make sure you don't fall for that trap. Tu habites, you live. En ville contains both. In the city, en ville. This one is more around adverbs. Where do you put the word only in English and where we put it in French? So for a simple sentence like you only speak English, question mark, you only speak English, you have to be careful of your word order. We don't say tu seulement parles anglais, but tu parles seulement anglais. We always put seulement only after our conjugated verb when we use it with present sentences like this. Tu parles seulement anglais. He wears glasses. 3 words. He wears glasses. En français, we can't say the word glasses straight out. We can't just say il porte lunettes. Whenever there's something that's plural, like lunettes, there's no problem in English to say he wears glasses. It could be he wears some glasses. It's basically that little test that you have to do. If you say something that's plural and there's no little article, little words before, check whether the word some would work. Is it just such a vague quantity that the little word some would work? And because in English, sometimes you put the word and sometimes you don't put the word some, it's often a mistake that you're going to make when you say it in French. We have to always, toujours have the little de before something plural. So even though there's nothing in English, he wears plural noun, we will say il porte des something. It's not just for glasses or the verb to wear, it's for anything. He has dogs, it's going to be a little des before that. Il a des chiens. We always have a little article, even though in English, sometimes you'll see the word some before something plural, sometimes you'll see nothing. But either way, if it's a plural noun, remember to put des. He is sleepy. He is sleepy in French will not be il est for he is sommeil, but il a sommeil. Il a sommeil. To be sleepy. We again, like thirst and hunger, cold and warm, we feel it. And here we feel sleepy. We have sleepiness. J'ai sommeil. I'm sleepy. She is an artist. Simple enough sentence. Artiste is the same word. She is an artist. How would you say that? She is an artist. The mistake I see is the little une appearing. Before a job in French, we will not put it there. We only have elle est artiste with the liaison. Elle est artiste. And not elle est une. Just elle est and then the job. So you can put any job after that. Just elle est. We are scared. We are scared. We're going to start with nous, we. And the mistake I see when students are trying to express we are scared or I am scared is the same. We are translating it with the verb to be scared, whereas in French, we have fear. We have fear. Nous avons peur. Never nous sommes peur. Nous avons peur. Again, group that one in with the others we mentioned that do the same thing. Your brain will use to be, I am this, he is this, we are this. But in French, it'll be have, the equivalent of have for each one, or has. So conjugate with avoir every time. Nous avons peur. Another beginner mistake that I see a lot is in the morning. In the morning. We see in, we want to say dans, and we've already made that first mistake. Dans le matin is not correct. Never works. It's just le matin. Le matin. To give someone's age, we have to be careful. You can say it quite simply in English with he is or he's 10. I am, and your number. In French, the structure is a little bit different. We can't say il est, and then the number, 10 in this case. We have to say il a 10, and because 10, you can hear that there's a s sound that's written with an X in French, D-I-X, 10. Once there's the word en, which is years old, very short way to say years old, just years, we're going to have a liaison to deal with. So I just wanted to warn you before you hear the change in pronunciation between 10 and 10 years old, 10 ans. 10 ans. Il a 10 ans. He is 10. He is arriving at 11 a.m. I'm making the sentences a little longer, a little bit more tricky, I guess. But if you're a beginner, these are some really quick mistakes that you can fix. So hopefully I'm giving you some things that you might recognize you do, or give you more understanding of why and how to avoid it. So he is arriving. We have he is, we have the verb arriving, that is just the verb arriver. In French, it's a nice regular ER ending verb. at, and then a time, 11 a.m. What I tend to see is students splitting is arriving from the idea of the sentence that they want to express to two words in French. And that's not how it works when it comes to verbs in French. And that's something that you'll figure out usually the hard way at the start, and then you'll just start doing it. So when you have a thought bubble, he is arriving. I'll do it here. He is arriving. You need to pause and think. That's the verb to arrive, arriver. Is arriving is the présent. So I'm just going to conjugate arriver in present. What you're not going to do from today onwards is to say he is. Let me do this bit first. Il est. And then deal with the verb itself. D'accord? He is arriving is just the présent of arrive. So stop saying il est arrive. If you conjugate it, er verb for il will give us that e ending, just plain i, à 11h. Instead, just il arrive à 11h. We have no difference in French between he arrives or he is arriving. They are just the present tense, il arrive. There's no difference. So try to catch that before you translate too much. They're eating or they are eating at the restaurant will usually trigger something similar. You might work out they are, do something with that, and then deal with the verb eat, manger afterwards. Elles sont mangées. They can be il or elles. It doesn't matter. I chose elles here because of those beautiful pink macarons. Elles sont would be they are. Mange or mange, maybe you have an ENT because you know it's plural. À le, at the, two words, restaurant. What it actually is the présent for they of manger requires one word, are eating, just mange. And then at the restaurant, à le, if you write them next to each other, always try to step back and notice where they become au. Au, it's called a partitive. Au restaurant. And the last one is I lived here for 6 years. And the tricky part is usually using or expressing the word for. I lived here for 6 years. We will use the past for this one. J'ai habité. I lived. J'ai habité. So you'll have the auxiliary first, est, for the verb habiter, and then the past participle of habiter, which gives us that nice e accent aigu ending. J'ai habité ici. But then what we tend to hear a lot as teachers is the pour 6 ans as a translation of for 6 years. And actually, we don't use pour with the duration in the past in French. So that can just be a rule that you add in. Whenever you want to translate for 1 week, for 3 days, for 5 months, and it's already happened, remember not to fall for pour. Pour will work for présent, pour will work for futur, but unfortunately, we do change it for past durations. And in that case, we use our word for during, pendant, which I know in English would still be a for, but sometimes it's worth just splitting them. So, j'ai habité ici pendant 6 ans. We're still saying for 6 years, but because that time has lapsed and my j'ai habité is in the past tense, I cannot use pour for that one. Voilà. So the mistakes are getting increasingly tricky through the presentation. Go back to the first few if they're the ones that you get stuck on and you didn't understand till now. I hope I was able to help. Oh, 2 of me on screen. Bonjour, je suis Tevi. Je veux vous aider. I want to keep helping you. Let me move that over here. And here are a few ways I can help you. So you can find some information, lots of blogs and videos on my website, frenchspeak.com.au. You can find me and this video on Facebook. fb.me/FrenchSpeak is kind of the shortest amount of keystrokes you can do to get to my Facebook page. And on YouTube, I gave you a bit.ly link, so bit.ly/. And if you type YouTube French speak, all in one word, you won't have to trawl through lots of different options. It's a bit hard sometimes to find my page on YouTube, so try that. Voilà, mes amis. If this was helpful, please tell me under the video and I will make sure I answer your questions and do similar videos if you want some other examples. Merci beaucoup. Au revoir.